In a bustling city filled with honking cars and flashing lights lived a young woman named Eliza. From a young age, Eliza had been enchanted by music. She would sit for hours by the old piano in her grandmother's attic, dreaming of composing melodies that could touch hearts and inspire souls. Her greatest dream was to become a renowned composer, but the harsh realities of life often seemed to drown out her dreams. One chilly autumn afternoon, while walking through the park, Eliza stumbled upon a small street musician playing a hauntingly beautiful tune on a violin. The music was so captivating that it brought tears to her eyes. In that moment, Eliza felt a spark of hope reignite within her. The street musician, noticing her reaction, smiled warmly and said, "Music has a way of finding those who need it most." That night, Eliza returned to her small apartment and, inspired by the encounter, sat down at her piano. She poured her heart into creating a melody that spoke of longing, love, and hope. The notes flowed effortlessly, and for the first time in months, Eliza felt truly alive. Despite her renewed passion, Eliza faced significant challenges. Her days were spent working a mundane office job that left her drained and uninspired. The pressures of work and the fear of failing made it difficult to find time to compose. One evening, as Eliza worked on her melody, a sudden burst of self doubt overwhelmed her. "Who am I kidding?" she thought. "What if no one ever listens to this? What if I am just chasing a dream that will never come true?" Her fears were exacerbated when she received a letter from a prestigious music school she had applied to, informing her that her application was rejected. The disappointment felt like a heavy weight pressing down on her chest. However, life has a way of surprising us when we least expect it. A few weeks later, Eliza was invited to a small community gathering where local artists showcased their work. Despite her reluctance, she decided to attend. At the event, she met a charming and encouraging elderly woman named Mrs. Whitaker, who had been a music teacher for decades. Mrs. Whitaker listened to Eliza's story and heard her melody. With a gentle smile, she said, "This melody has a soul. It needs to be shared." Mrs. Whitaker offered to mentor Eliza, helping her refine her composition and gain confidence. Under Mrs. Whitaker's guidance, Eliza's music began to blossom. Her melodies became richer, her rhythms more vibrant. For the first time in her life, she felt truly understood and supported. As Eliza's music started to gain attention in her community, she faced another setback. Her grandmother, who had always been her biggest supporter, fell ill. Eliza was devastated. The woman who had nurtured her love for music was now in a fragile state, and Eliza struggled to balance her caregiving duties with her growing musical aspirations. One night, sitting by her grandmother's bedside, Eliza felt an overwhelming sense of sadness. She played her melody softly on a small keyboard, tears streaming down her face. Her grandmother, though weak, reached out and held her hand. "Remember," she whispered, "music is your gift to the world. Don't let it go." With renewed determination, Eliza continued to care for her grandmother while pursuing her music. Her perseverance paid off when she was invited to perform at major music festivals. The night of the performance was a mix of excitement and nervousness. The grand auditorium was filled with people from all walks of life, waiting to hear her melody. As Eliza took the stage, she felt her grandmother's presence in her heart. The moment she began to play, the room felt silent. The melody she had composed, born from hope, nurtured through joy, and refined through struggle, flowed beautifully. The audience was captivated, and as the final notes lingered in the air, there was a profound silence followed by a standing ovation. Eliza's performance was a turning point in her life. Her melody resonated with many, and she began receiving invitations to perform and compose for various events and projects. The joy of sharing her music with the world was unparalleled. Years later, as she stood on a stage surrounded by applauding fans, Eliza reflected on her journey. She realized that her path had been shaped by a mixture of hope, fear, joy, and sadness. Each emotion had been a stepping stone, guiding her towards her dream. In a heartfelt moment, Eliza dedicated her success to her grandmother and Mrs. Whittaker, who had believed in her when she doubted herself. The journey had been challenging, but it was a testament to the power of perseverance and the transformative power of dreams. And so, Eliza's story became a symbol of how the blend of different emotions can forge a path to success, inspiring others to follow their passions, no matter how daunting the journey may seem.